Today I have a great opportunity to be interviewing Grant, the CEO of Nuvyyo, the makers of the popular Tablo DVR line of DVRs. Welcome, Grant.
Hey, Luke.
Hey, can you tell us about yourself and Nuvyyo, a little history and where you are right now?
Yeah, so Nuvyyo got started a number of years ago. I guess we actually started about 2010, and our first product was a place shifting product, which we kind of bootstrapped into the market and discovered the hard way that you actually needed, some resources and funding to actually build a consumer electronics product. So we took that product and added, live TV to it. A lot of people, like the fact that they could get their music and videos and photos, on their mobile device wherever they wanted. But the next thing they asked for was live TV, so we added that, and that was a real epiphany for us because we became aware of this, huge amount of fantastic HD quality video that was for free, broadcast over the airwaves. So we added that capability of the product, and people said, well, that's great, but can I record it? Because I want to time shift it or play it back later. So we decided at that point that this was a huge opportunity, and we kind of pivoted the company at that point and built the first generation of the Tablo DVR. So we launched that in 2014 in CS, got a huge response, and have been expanding on the product and, ever since. So I basically started, the company, background in telecommunications, did a lot of work with the local firms like Nortel and Newbridge here. And mainly we were doing a lot of work in IP video, and that's what, gave me the interest in video and in streaming.
I've been a user of the Tablo DVR since, I want to say, late 2015. I got one of the boxes right above my head up here on the screen. I've been a big fan of it. I've tested out a lot of DVRs. I know a lot of people like them. One of the things I've kind of noticed with cord cutting is the growth of over-the-air TV seems to parallel the growth of cord cutting a lot. How do you see the current growth of over-the-air TV? How healthy do you think the current market of over-the-air TV is right now?
I think it's getting stronger all the time, and the statistics seem to bear that out. Kagan and a number of others seem to estimate about 1 out of 5 households in the U.S. now use over-the-air HDTV. So that's grown by about, almost doubled in the past 3 to 5 years. I can't remember the exact statistics. And I think what's driving that is really this availability, of the streaming products like Netflix and others. So a typical customer of ours is somebody who has had a cable or satellite subscription for quite a long time. But a couple of years ago, they got a Roku box and they started watching Netflix. And so they got into that, immediate experience, the fact that there were no commercials. They loved the, network or Netflix or the, internet style interface. And they started to consume more and more content on their Roku. They may have added Sling TV or Hulu or some other services. So now they're, they're starting to question, I'm watching a lot of my content on the Roku. Why am I spending, $100, $120 a month for Comcast or Time Warner or for my cable or satellite system? But they still want, their local news, their sports. They want that connection to the community. They want the network shows like The Big Bang Theory. They want to watch it, when it's aired, not weeks later. So if they discover us, they find, OTA. Typically they still want to be able to record and place shift that. So they purchase our product, they install it, and now they have an application that runs on their Roku that gives them that great, broadcast TV experience.
The current state of over-the-air TV seems to be really strong. One thing I've noticed is there's a lot of talk about the future OTA. You've got like CBS launching more over-the-air TV stations in the United States. You have the new ATSC, I think it is, 3.0 standard coming out. It's currently in test markets in like Phoenix and Dallas, but word is maybe next year we'll start hearing more about that. What have you heard about the 3.0 standard? What do you think cord cutters should know about it? And is there anything we should be worried about?
Well, I think it's very exciting because it adds the capability to do 4K HDTV, and it uses more modern codecs. So potentially, we can build the hardware to be a little less expensive. So it has a lot of advantages. It introduces new sound formats. So if it's successful, it'll give you a much higher quality experience than we have with the ATSC 1.0 that's deployed today. However, it's like any transition from one technology to another, and this one is not backward compatibility. So an ATSC 3.0 receiver cannot tune into an ATSC 1.0 signal. The modulation standards over the air are different, and all the physical formats. There's just enough differences that there's no way to build a product that's compatible with both. So that means that ATSC 1 is going to live for quite a while, while that transition happens. And in fact, the standard says that you have to provide ATSC 1.0 for 5 years after you started ATSC 3.0. So, right now, it's just uncertain how it's going to roll out. There's, a number of players that are committed to it. Certainly, it's more technically advanced. It promises to give you better, quality signal in terms of 4K, but also it should reach farther, give you better over-the-air reception. But it's still early days, and the business model hasn't really worked out. How, companies going to offer it. Is it going to be free? Are they going to add DRM? Is there going to be subscriptions? I think it's very unclear what the final business model will be. But we're tracking it very, very closely, and we're very much interested in it. The other thing that for us as a hardware manufacturer is important is availability of chipsets that support the ATSC 3.0 standard. And those are still, emerging. Korea probably leads. They also do ATSC as their standard. And LG is one of the companies that I think is driving, some of the adoption of ATSC 3.0, particularly in the South Korean market. But it's unclear, when those chipsets will be available in production quantities and when we could actually build a product, economically, using those chipsets.
One of the things I've heard about the 3.0 standard is the fact that it'll add more subchannels, basically. In theory, you could get 50. I know in reality it'd be less than that. Do you think that would really push a boon in over-the-air TV? Even if they're older content, just the proliferation of content free over the air?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, all these diginets or the subchannels are becoming quite popular even on the ATSC 1.0. So I think that just gives you more capability to deliver more content, to reach more consumers, and accommodate their special interests. Whether it's more sports, local sports, programming, or other special interest programming.
Let's kind of dive more into the Tablo DVR. Now, I've had it for a while, but could you just kind of explain what it is, how it works for somebody who doesn't use it at all?
Sure. So it's a physical product. It basically has a connection into your home network, and that could be via Wi-Fi or Ethernet. And then it has a connection to attach an antenna. And the antenna is what picks up the over-the-air broadcast signals. And our average U.S. customer gets about 40 stations, and that includes some of the subchannels and diginets. But typically they would get all the main networks like CBS, Fox, NBC, and whatever. So what the Tablo does is it allows you to tune into those channels, and then rather than attaching to a TV, because it doesn't have an HDMI port, it actually works in conjunction with an app that you download on whatever device you want to use to watch the TV, the broadcast TV. So that could be a Roku, an Apple TV, it could be a tablet, a smartphone, could be a PC. We support apps for smart TVs like Samsung and LG. So basically, you take the box, you attach the antenna, you hook it into your home network, and then you download the app onto the device you want to use it on. And that app gives you the complete, experience for watching live, recording TV and playing back recorded TV. So we built a beautiful user interface that we think is one of the best in the industry. So it's very easy to find content. It's very easy to record it. And in playback, we've added things like thumbnails, so it makes it very easy to, look through content, skip the commercials you may not be interested in watching. The other advantage is, as opposed to cable and satellite, I don't need to switch HDMI ports on my TV when I want to go from like Netflix to broadcast television. It's just I drop out of the Netflix app on my Roku and I bring up the Tablo app, and there I am. So it's the same remote, same device, much easier to merge that broadcast experience with the streaming video experience.
How would you say Tablo stands up from the competition? We're seeing a flood of products over-the-air TV. You were one of the early ones on the market. How are you standing out today?
Yeah, I think we've got the most feature complete product. We launched the product in 2014, and I'm proud to say that even the first product, even the first beta users that bought the product, back in 2014, that same product gets all the feature updates, all the latest software, and works with all the apps. So we've never obsoleted anything, and we build a complete end-to-end solution. So we build both the apps that run on your TV. On your smartphone or your Roku. We build the physical hardware. So that allows us to make sure that all the components work together and that you get, the best possible experience. For ours, you also don't need another device like a PC or NAS to do the recording. It'll record on a local hard drive, so you just plug in a USB drive. And we have models that include flash storage, so they'll record everything on them. And we even have models that now have cloud DVR storage, so they'll actually record everything into the cloud, to add that kind of convenience. We also, transcode the video. So we take it from, the older format that's delivered over the air, which is MPEG-2, and we transcode that into the more modern format, H.264, which is MPEG-4, which is used by all modern devices. So that allows us to support every device natively, like a Roku and a smartphone and a tablet. So I think the real Tablo advantage is, one, the user experience. I think we've got the best in the business in terms of features and functionality. And secondly, it's an end-to-end solution. We'll guarantee it works. We test it all together. And if you have a problem, you can call us and we'll help you get it working.
You mentioned like the cloud DVR there. You have recently announced a few different products, the Tablo Live Stick and the Cloud DVR. Can you kind of give us an update on them, what's happening with them, and what we should be looking for?
Sure. Our latest product that we started shipping, earlier this year is Tablo Dual Lite. And that's just really a variant of the Tablo Dual 64 at a little lower price point for those people that didn't need the onboard storage. But one of the things that people did like about having the onboard storage was, kind of the out-of-the-box experience. I didn't need to buy a hard drive. I could just pull it out of the box, connect it up, and everything worked. I could make recordings. I could play back. So it was very convenient, one-box solution. So when we went to the Tablo Lite and removed the local storage, we wanted to be able to preserve that kind of out-of-the-box experience. So we developed a cloud DVR capability where the Tablo Lite will actually upload to the cloud the recordings and then allow you to play them back from the cloud. So we look after that, that management of, the recordings. We make sure you don't lose them. You don't have to, deal with a hard drive or worry about a hard drive failure. And that's in beta right now. So we haven't actually, commercially launched it or priced it. We're letting all our users use it, at this point in time with the Tablo Lite product. And, the reception's been pretty good and it seems to work really well. So that is the Cloud DVR and the Tablo Lite. The next product is that we're working on is, we launched or announced a few years ago or about a year ago, is the Tablo Live TV Anywhere Stick. So it's basically a single tuner version in kind of a dongle format where it has an F connector to plug in an antenna at one end and then just a plug for power, and that's it. And it connects into your home network using Wi-Fi. And to get to, the price point we're intending to get to, which is sub $100, it doesn't have any local storage or the capability to plug in any local storage. So in fact, it needs to use the Cloud DVR, and that's what we originally developed the Cloud DVR for. So if you want the recording option as opposed to just live TV, then it has the ability to record up into the cloud and play back from the cloud. So it's kind of a unique product. It's really intended as more of an entry level, again, very easy to use, no single, two connectors in the product, that's it. So very easy to use, very accessible, and a good starting point in kind of the whole Tablo family.
Tablo's been kind of pushing the forefront of DVRs. I mean, a DVR without an HDMI port or any out port on the device, and cloud storage and other things. What would you say is the current state of over-the-air TV and the future of DVRs right now from where you're sitting?
Well, we think over-the-air TV is becoming more and more popular. I just looked at a Nielsen study that came across my desk today, and surprisingly, the people watch about 5.5 hours of TV a day, which seems like a lot, but that's what the study says. But 4 hours of that is live, linear or time-shifted linear TV. Only about an hour of that is Netflix. So people still watch a lot of linear TV. They want to see their local news and sports. They want to be connected. And I don't think that trend is going to change. So, we think as long as there is OTA, and there's certainly demand for it, we've seen that people are increasingly cutting the cord. They're adopting OTA. It's in 1 of every 5 households today, and that trend just seems to be accelerating. So I think there's a lot of longevity. ATSC 1.0 is going to be around for at least 5 years, and I suspect longer. And for a startup, that's a pretty good time horizon. My crystal ball doesn't really go that much farther out.
Now, Canada has been one of the fastest growing areas in cord cutting recently. It was kind of a little bit behind the United States, but now it seems to be taking off. What is the current status of over-the-air TV in Canada? What challenges does Canada have that the United States does not have?
And the challenge we have is we're just a much smaller population in a much bigger country. So that means, the accessibility to broadcast towers and stations is just much less than in the U.S. As I said, in the U.S., our average customer gets about 40 channels. We haven't looked at it in Canada, specifically, but in Toronto and Ottawa, you get about 15 channels. So that's substantially less than you would get in the U.S. market. And quite often, you don't get access to the U.S. stations, which are also quite popular. So just the less broadcast stations, and more rural, much larger country just means there's just although OTA is popular, it's just not as accessible as in the U.S. market in a major city like New York or Chicago. So for example, we see still substantially more sales in the U.S. than in Canada, even if you take in respect to the population differences. So it is growing. We do have it. We don't have as many sub-channels up here. That's one thing we don't have. But all the major Canadian networks anyways are represented and do broadcast in most of the cities. But in smaller cities, you'll find only maybe 2 or 3 stations, which makes it a little less compelling.
All right, Grant. Hey, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate the insight into OTA 3.0 and what Tablo DVRs are up to right now. Hey, any last comments you want to make or anything you want to add about Tablo?
No, I think the only thing I didn't mention is one of the reasons why we don't connect to one TV is we want to actually support every TV and device in your home. So a Tablo is not just you buy one Tablo, it'll do 5 or 6 streams in your home. It'll handle multiple TVs at the same time, multiple devices. And we also support access over the internet. So when you're traveling, you can come back, you can watch the shows on your Tablo, you can set new shows to record. As somebody mentions, hey, you should check this show out. You can do that right on your phone. So, it really is a whole home solution, and it's for every device you own.
I definitely love the ability when I travel, either to see family in Michigan or a conference in California, to be able to watch my home antenna on my phone. That's always been a great feature I love about the Tablo.
Thanks.
All right. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us. If you want to learn more about the Tablo DVRs, I will put a link down below to our review. You can find links to their site and their products there. Hey, thanks so much, Grant. I hope you have a great day, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks. It's been my pleasure.